It's time for the weekly wrap-up. Mariah planned a Yuletide takeover with Sephora. Pop Mart tanked its own stock with a pricing slip on Livestream. Denny's just sold itself. And Wendy's is shuttering hundreds of stores. Meanwhile, MrBeast built a theme park and the world asked why. Different industries, one lesson. Legacy doesn't guarantee longevity, adaptation does. Welcome to the DR Weekly Wrap, where brands, leadership and strategy meet in motion. I'm Kia. And today we're unpacking how 5 well-known names hit the same wall and how smart strategy turns chaos into clarity. Mariah Carey's annual It's Time holiday video, normally a beloved tradition, this year doubles as a Sephora ad and it triggered backlash. The ad shows elves striking, pawn shopping Sephora bags.
Christmas, it's cancelled.
Until Mariah saves the day. But people see more than cheeky fun. They see class war, consumer backlash, and tone-deaf messaging. Here's the strategic pivot. Beauty brand uses a seasonal icon to supercharge holiday campaign. The risk? When the context is inflation, labor tensions, boycott culture, the story you tell can feel out of sync. This isn't just a missing lipstick, it's a missing connection. When your brand beats the drum for consumption, while your audience senses value is fading, you invite critique. Risks? Boycott contagion. Logic mismatch, sentiment backfire. The counter? Lead with empathy, show and reflect the consumer's lived moment. If you can't, don't pretend you can. This isn't about cutting the ad, it's about cutting the disconnect. Icons are great, but not when they drag legacy sensibilities into modern friction without recalibrating tone. Authenticity trumps nostalgia. In this season, press run lean the narrative into worker story, saving story, community story, not just glam story. Let Mariah's legend carry meaning, not just product. Brand equity isn't preserved by tradition alone. It's preserved by relevance. Sephora and Mariah had to ask, are we owning the story or just repeating the script? Pop Mart isn't just a retailer, it's a cultural engine. Its Labubu figures create more lines, resale markets, even global fandom wars. But this week, that same fandom turned on the brand fast. During a live stream, a Pop Mart host casually explained their pricing formula. We set prices based on what fans are willing to pay. One sentence and outrage exploded. Collectors felt manipulated, investors sensed fragility. Within hours, the stock dropped double digits. Here's the truth Pop Mart now has to confront. Their business model isn't built on toys, it's built on desire. And when your product is desire, transparency becomes an emotional equation. Too little feels shady, too much makes the magic collapse. The Labubu phenomenon isn't accidental. These aren't mass-market toys, they're art collectibles. Limited drops, unpredictable pulls, artist collaborations, character lore. That's what creates the resale frenzy. But when the brand openly reduces that to, we charge because y'all pay, it breaks the mythology that makes the product worth collecting. When you build a brand on fandom economics, you're not selling materials, you're selling meaning. And meaning collapses if fans think they're being farmed rather than valued. Pop Mart should have anchored the pricing narrative in craftsmanship, hand-painted details, artist IP, limited run logistics, licensing investments. Turn the conversation to value, not extraction. Collectors don't mind paying, they mind feeling played. In emotional markets like collectibles, storytelling is the product. Price without story feels like exploitation. Story without respect feels manipulative. Pop Mart has to rebuild both before the next drop drops its stock again. Denny's, American diner staple, 24-hour breakfast refuge. It just sold itself in a $620 million all-cash deal going private. The buyers, a private equity consortium and one of Denny's major franchisees. Is it a rescue or a risk? For consumers, it feels distant, change of ownership behind the scenes. For franchisees, it's structural, less public market pressure, maybe more operational freedom. But for brand trust, when trust comes from consistency, a sudden exit invites questions. Operational playbook. Tighten the core menu, modernize kitchens, convert stores to delivery nodes. But messaging, still your diner, just leaner, doesn't land if your brand conspicuously disappears off the public grid. When you're selling the platform, you're also selling the promise, and customers know that. When dine-in nostalgic becomes delivery network essential, you need to narrate the transformation as much as re-engineer it. A 90-day checklist, signal unchanged values, 24/7 welcome, affordable breakfast, pilot format flips with transparency, communicate roadmap. Silence means assumption, and assumptions go sideways. Ownership may change, perception must not, because brand trust isn't just about who owns you, it's about why you still open your doors and how you keep your promise. Wendy's is planning to close roughly 300 US stores, about 5% of its system, beginning late 2025 and into 2026. This is not about growth, it's about pruning. Underperforming units, outdated formats, cost drag. But message matter. Are you cutting the dead weight or are you signaling brand weakness? The strategic play: fewer stores, higher quality, more investment per unit. But for brand trust, customers, employees, franchisees all watch the tone. If you don't frame closures as rational repositioning, they read it as decline. Decline isn't always terminal. When you announce retrenchment before you announce a vision, you risk defining the narrative for yourself. Communicate the plan, show the future store, emphasize investment in community, freshness technology. Don't just say we're closing, say we're upgrading, because brand equity depends as much on the next store as the last one. Less can be more if you pivot with clarity, because when a brand cuts back, customers want to know, what are you cutting away from and what are you toward? Jimmy, MrBeast Donaldson, is mounting a physical expansion of his creator brand, a temporary theme park called Beastland in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, running November 13 to December 27 as part of the Riyadh season. For fans, it's dream realized. For critics, it raises questions. Why Saudi Arabia? What does credible brand mean when embedded in geopolitics? When you're global, you're local, even in places with reputational complexity. Here's the playbook. Pivot from YouTube to real-world experience. Expand brand touchpoints. But the truth question: creators are judged on values as much as spectacle. If your platform enters contested terrain without clear positioning, you risk credibility dilution. In creator ecosystems, authenticity is the currency. When you globalize fast, you must articulate local context, ethics, story. Because for your followers, it's not just a ride, it's you, live. Expect creator brands to go IRL, but not all will land. Success means mapping global ambition onto local meaning, showing risk, choosing partners, and owning the narrative. Brand expansion is a physical move, but trust stays digital. When you scale venues, followers ask, is this still you? Be prepared to answer. Momentum means nothing without meaning. This week proved the line between crisis and breakthrough is clarity. Mariah localized tradition and risked tone. Pop Mart mishandled transparency and risked trust. Denny's changed ownership and risks narrative drift. Wendy's cut locations and risks signaling retreat. MrBeast expanded globally and risks values leap. The winners weren't the loudest, they were the clearest, because clarity cuts deeper than hype. It tells markets exactly who you are when the noise gets loud. Every brand faces an inflection point where momentum meets meaning. Some scale faster, others scale smarter. The ones that last, they stay understood. If you build brands, lead teams, or live at the intersection of creativity and commerce, subscribe to Design Rush. Clarity isn't a buzzword, it's a survival skill. And the next story we cover could be yours. If this wrap-up left you thinking differently about how brands survive the noise, hit like, subscribe, and join us for more strategy breakdowns every week.